kalled and welcome to Pandora. In 2009, a small but very popular toy line created by Mattel was released to coincide with the first film. This included a collection of 3 3/4-inch figures of both Na'vi and human characters from the film, as well as numerous vehicles and creatures in the same scale, many of which were quite popular during their release and have gone on to become quite rare these days, with the Turok and Scorpion gunships going for extremely ludicrous prices on aftermarket sites. The line also included 7-inch figures of a few of the main cast, such as Jake and Neytiri, again becoming very expensive at the time of this video. While not being in the stores for very long during the opening of the film, they still made their appeal to many fans and collectors at the time. I have a distinct memory of seeing them on the shelves at the time and regretting not picking any up. But this got me thinking, with the release of Avatar 2 drawing ever closer, will we see another toy line in a similar vein for the second film? And if so, what would it look like? Well, today I'm going to give my thoughts as to whether we could see Avatar figures once again grace our shelves in 2022. The first thing to talk about is whether it would be a continuation of the original toy line, and while very possible, as Mattel still produces figures for other popular film franchises, I don't think it will be. If the new line was to be created by Mattel, I believe they would try and separate their line into 2 distinct branches, one for a younger demographic, focusing on playability and fun, and the other line for older collectors, focusing on accuracy, articulation and details, in a similar vein to how Mattel's Jurassic World Amber series is being released at the moment. I think this is a more likely approach, given how we live in a world where adult collectors make up a large majority of the market for these kinds of toy lines. The next thing to consider is if it would still be Mattel that would be producing these figures. While it's safe to say that it would be a good choice for the second film, I believe there is a good alternative, especially given how much the most recent Avatar merchandise has been released through the Disney parks, including a build-your-own Na'vi figure. With the recent success of both Marvel and Star Wars figures, I could easily see Hasbro being the main contender to produce a new Avatar toy line. Not only do they have a long history of creating figures for famous franchises, but they have also a good reputation for creating figures for collectors, such as their Black Series and Marvel Legend lines respectively. I think they stand a good chance of representing Avatar's universe in toy form. The final point to consider is what scale the new line would be in. While the original had both 3 3/4-inch and 7-inch figures for its characters, I believe the new line of figures would primarily be 3 3/4-inch again. Not only does this allow for accompanying vehicles and creatures, some of which I'm sure have already been seen from the concept art of Avatar 2, but it also makes them much more accessible to younger audiences who may not have the money to buy a larger scale figure. While the main line may be 3 3/4-inch, I think if successful enough, a collector's line of 6-inch figures in the same form as the aforementioned Black Series and Marvel Legends could become a reality. They could take characters from both films and appeal more to adult fans of the franchise, especially if Hasbro does hold the rights anytime in the future. Again, this all depends on how popular the line is. Now, while I would love this toy line to come true in some form or another, there's no guarantee it will. These are just my predictions and speculations on what could happen, and if the line doesn't do well, then it could see a short life. But I hope that something will emerge in the run-up to the film's launch next year. But until that happens, I hope you've enjoyed this short video on what could be. I wanted to try and use some of my knowledge of collecting and apply it to a franchise that I beloved, such as Avatar. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, hej alvaj, gievami.